Josh Heupel and Tennessee have tabbed Joey Aguilar as QB1 ahead of their week 1 matchup against the Syracuse Orangemen. Let's talk about why we thought this would happen and what this says about college football in 2025. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If that's something you're into, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think that Joey Aguilar can lead Tennessee back to the college football playoff, not unlike Nico Iamaleava last year? And I'm using Nico Iamaleava because I think that is the comparison that we're going to have in 2025. Also going to take this opportunity to remind you we have an audio podcast on Apple and Spotify, and I'm still sending out stickers that look just like this one to those that are kind enough to go to Apple and Spotify and leave us a 5-star review. Just fill out the form in the description below. If you have one and not the other, that's okay. I'll still send you a sticker. Those are in the mail. I know many of you have sent in forms, and I'm fastly getting those out to you with a P.O. box for you, which you can respond. I had some hangups with USPS, but we've got that sorted out, and I hope to get you your sticker and your handwritten note of thanks from me. I'm comparing Joey Aguilar to Nico Iamaleava because that is the replacement. That is who he is in to replace, full stop. Now, Tennessee finished last year 10-3. They were 10-2 entering the college football playoff with losses to Arkansas. And my goodness, dude, like we're looking at this and I'm asking this question like sincerely. It's like, take a look at just what's on the schedule for Tennessee this year. How many quarterbacks in the SEC do we expect will be starters last year, this year? And it's not really that many. Because I'm looking at this, and last year you get your loss to Arkansas, you get your loss to Ohio State, 10-3, 10-2, my bad. They're one loss to Arkansas, an Arkansas team that returned its starter. So to answer that question, Arkansas returns Taylor Green, who was their week 1 starter. Everybody else, save LSU and Vanderbilt, are going to have a different week 1 starter, Lenore Sellers. So 3 teams in the SEC of 16 we're going to have the same week 1 starter last year as they did this year. Some of this is graduation. Some of this is just transfer. Like Jackson Arnold's going from Oklahoma to Auburn, for instance. Joey Aguilar is going from Appalachian State to UCLA to Tennessee. Going down the list here, because, I mean, we're here now. I'm looking at this, and it's kind of wild to really take into account. We know that Carson Beck was supposed to go to the NFL last year, but he ended up transferring, which means Gunnar Stockton's the guy. Alabama's going to go with Ty Simpson after Jalen Milroe went into the NFL draft. I mentioned Auburn's going to have Jackson Arnold. Florida had, as hard as it is to really negotiate this, even at the time, Graham Mertz instead of DJ Lagway. Kentucky is going to go with Zach Calzada, who was once starter at Texas A&M, spent a year at Incarnate Word, ends up in Kentucky. Mississippi State lost Michael Van Buren. They're going to go back to Blake Shapen. So I guess you could say they qualify as having the same guy last year as this year, but they went a roundabout way to do it. Bo Pribble is going to start at Missouri. He was at Penn State last year. Ole Miss is going to go Austin Simmons, who had a 75-yard scoring drive against Georgia last year in that upset win. I mentioned Lenore Sellers at South Carolina. Marcel Reed is going to start for A&M after Connor Wigman was the guy. Texas is going to go with Arch Manning after Quinn Ewers was the guy. And Diego Pavia is back for another year. It's also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the 16 teams in the SEC are ranked. Tennessee's one of them at number 24. Last year, Aguilar threw for just over 3,000 yards and some touchdowns. And last year, we're talking about Nico Iamaleava going for 2,600 yards, 64% completion rate, 19 TDs, 5 INTs. Most people will tell you that watch Tennessee football, Dylan Sampson was the straw stirring the drink, and they'd be right. That's the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. That was the best tailback in the SEC last year, and there's a lot to say that Tennessee was good because he was good. I thought last year was the best coaching job that Josh Heupel's ever done in his life, honestly. You have a one-loss team that goes into the college football playoff without needing to play in the conference championship game, and you did it with an offense that felt like it was in handcuffs. You were running max protection with Nico at quarterback, having 2 guys out in routes. This year, you're dealing with Mike Matthews, who we hope turns out to be an absolute dude. And then we'll see, right? Like I realize that there are those that believe what I believe, and that a guy like Deshaun Bishop can absolutely, positively help you win at the running back position. Same thing is true of Star Thomas. I think he could be great for you as well. And I'm looking at the roster though, and it's going to be a whole bunch of guys that got to break out, right? We've been having a conversation about Chris Brazzell for some time, but since coming to Tulane, he didn't pop last year, but they're expecting him to it this year. Defense is still going to be solid. Jamar McCoy is going to be your best player. I think the verdict on Tennessee will be up to Joey Aguilar, who beat out Jake Mecklinger for the starting job, and that means George McIntyre is probably going to be the 3 guy. And you feel like you're in a good spot for getting Faze on in 2026, who's committed to you and number one quarterback in the 2026 class. But you also got this schedule that is not doing you any favors. Like, you got Syracuse, which I think is a great football team, and they have an opportunity to be a top 25 team again. East Tennessee State, you're going to beat them like a drum. Then you get number 5 Georgia, but they're coming to Neyland, and that could help you. Gunnar Stockton's never played at Neyland. We'll see what that offense is capable of with Zachariah Branch, and whether or not they can really take advantage of a Joey Aguilar who's still figuring out what it means to play at Rocky Top. UAB, you're going to beat them like a drum. Mississippi State, you're going to beat them like a drum. Arkansas, well, you're going to remember last year, probably beat the hell out of them. Then you're at number 8, Alabama. And that'll be interesting because you got 2 first-year starters that should be finding their feet or understanding who they are in the offense by then. Then there's Kentucky. You ought to win that game. Oklahoma, we'll see. Oklahoma's coming to Tennessee with a team I think can be very good. I think it's a top 10 program. Others think it's a top 25 program. We'll find out for sure this season. New Mexico State. And then you're at Florida and Vanderbilt. You can get back to the college football playoff. You really can. Especially with a guy who's as seasoned and as ready to play as Joey Aguilar, who threw for 3,000 yards, 23 touchdowns, 14 interceptions last year, had a better year the year before that. If he just does what he did at Appalachian State last year, this year for Tennessee, you're already leaps and bounds ahead of what Nico Iamaleava was able to provide you in 2024, which means that by definition, you should be the kind of football team that gets back to the college football playoff. Now, I think you're going to have lots of competition for that. Georgia, Texas, we know about. But after that, Bama and Missouri, I would worry about. South Carolina, I would worry about. South Carolina feels like it's going to be really good this year. Missouri's got 8 friggin' home games, which feels criminal to the rest of the SEC. Oklahoma's a wild card. We don't know if they're going to be great. We don't know if they're going to be awful. Auburn, you got a Hugh Freeze coaching for his job. A&M's going to be stout defensively, and if Marcel Reed can figure out how to throw the football down the field, they could be a problem with Casey Concepcion at wide receiver. There are teams up and down this thing. The one factor for the SEC that is true this year that hasn't been true in years past is that 15 out of the 16 teams in that league are all capable of beating each other. Mississippi State be the one team that I would say it's going to be rough for them. And they got a really difficult schedule on their own. However, if you're Vanderbilt, you feel like you can beat anybody. Arkansas, you feel like you can beat anybody. Just ask Tennessee about that. Same thing is true of Auburn. Same thing is true of A&M. Same thing is true of Oklahoma. And after that, you're talking about teams that expect to play for the college football playoff this year, if not every year. I'm mentioning Ole Miss in that conversation as well. They haven't made it yet, but they want to get there. They're looking at what Tennessee did, and they're going, we're a win away, guys. We beat Georgia. We beat the SEC champs. We know what it takes. That's what Tennessee wants to do, and they want to get that taste of losing Ohio State in the college football playoff out of their mouth. I think Aguilar can help them with that. And Josh Heupel has shown with a seasoned quarterback, with an older quarterback, he's lethal. So ask Hendon Hooker about that, right? Give him a guy that we thought was perhaps dead in the water or even damaged goods, like Hendon Hooker coming from Vatech, and watch him turn that dude into an absolute star. When that dude went out with his injury, this ACL tear, it really turned the fortunes of Tennessee, but also it showed us what Josh Heupel was capable of. They're going to run the football well. They're going to find a tailback. There might be running back by committee, but they will be good. I think Joey Aguilar just has to keep the ship straight, run in the right direction. Don't run it aground. Stay out of the defense's way. Let Tim Banks do his thing, and then it's a party. And I think Joey Hazel does this. I think Tennessee will be vindicated for letting Nico Iamaleava walk and for paying half as much to get a great quarterback like Aguilar in there who just wants the opportunity to play at Rocky Top and to prove that he's as good as other people think he is. And who knows, could be the kind of quarterback that vaults himself into the first round of the 2026 NFL draft.